All right, what's up? So I just came out of Best Buy right now. So I just got this. I picked this up. This is a USB-C to Ethernet adapter. So I got that so that I can start coding MHD XHP, tuning my car with my iPad, because the iPads only have USB-C now instead of Lightning. So I couldn't use the same adapter that I use for my iPhone. So today I'm going to be showing you the difference between MHD and BM3. I'm mostly going to explain the difference for BM3 just because I don't have full access to the app. But I will explain some things. I'll show you how the app looks when you open it up. And then I'll also show you a couple functions of MHD once I got the car hooked up, and then I'll actually do a coding session on the car because I do want to change the setting for the line pressure bump and then the torque limiters on MHD. So I'm going to go into MHD first, then XHP, and then I'm also going to go into BM3 and explain the difference from MHD and that. All right, so this is what the adapter looks like. So just a little USB-C thing, Ethernet. All right, so right now I got the car in diagnostic mode. So let's come to the iPad here. So let's go to settings. Let's go to Ethernet. Let's go here. And we're basically just making sure everything's connected good. So we got the IP address here. So let's go back to the home screen, go to MHD, and then let's see what's in here. So you got a couple different tabs down here, stock. This is your logging tab, your data log tab. And then these are where you read DME codes, reset adaptations. And then here's where you actually do the tuning. So let's go to flash a map. So the current map that I'm running is stage 2 plus. So one of the biggest differences between MHD and BM3 is just the sheer availability of different maps. On stage 2 MHD, you can only go up to E40, whereas with BM3, you can go all the way up to E50. I'm not sure why they offer that, offer like a higher ethanol percentage, but they do. All right, so right here we've got MHD, and basically, let me reposition this. So basically, one of the main differences between MHD and BM3 is just the sheer availability of maps. For BM3, you have a lot more map availability to kind of have flexibility around the fuel that may be available nearby you. One interesting thing I did note is that on stage 2 high pressure fuel pump tune, BM3 does offer E50, and for some reason MHD only goes to E40. I know that MHD uses tunes made by Pure Boost. They buy those as off-the-shelf maps because MHD is basically all programmers, while BM3 is programmers and tuners. So they work with a different company to develop their maps, but they all run off-the-shelf maps at the end of the day. Just the difference is at BM3 they have tuners, so then with BM3 you also have the functionality of map tuning, and that's the reason why you need the agent on your laptop. One of the main reasons why I didn't download it, just because I was looking for an off-the-shelf tune, and I don't need map tuning and a second device like a laptop. You know, that just makes things more complicated, more easy to mess up. So that's one of the reasons I went with MHD. They both have multi-map. They both have data logging. I believe BM3 has live logging, though. You can view some live statistics and sensors, which MHD doesn't do for the B58. So let's go into E40, and up here for transmission, mine is tuned with XHP, so let's change it to that. And then I'm not going to do a multi-map because I don't switch fuels often. I just run ethanol E40 all the time because there's ethanol near me, and if I need to run a clean tank, I can just run some 91 through it and then change back to ethanol. So let's go into that. All right, so let's tune a different map and change some settings in here. So We're going to activate anti-lag. We're going to turn that up all the way, 16 psi. So that's up. We're going to allow both MHD controls. First, the MHD Plus features. For the exhaust setup, I have aftermarket downpipes. Mine is from RVG Performance, so we're going to use that. We're going to remove the top speed limiter. We're going to increase the iDrive gauges. The overrun BRAP, I like to set that at OEM. It's kind of like the little flatulence kind of sound that you get on an upshift. We're going to turn on exhaust burbles. I like my exhaust burbles aggressive, so we're going to turn those to medium. And then for the duration on sport, we're going to leave it about 1.5. Actually, I'm going to turn that up just a bit to 1.7. We're going to leave the stock burbles at 0.8 for the stock, for the comfort setting. The aggressiveness, we're going to leave it at 1200 RPM, up to 5000 RPM, up to 99 miles an hour. Next thing we're going to do is turn off the cold start, just because I don't like the cold start. It's too noisy, and I don't have cats anyway, so don't need it. We're going to turn on the startup roar, because that sounds cool. The exhaust flap always open in sport mode. I don't use that just because I leave my flap open with a BM3 code, and then also I have an exhaust cutout, so I don't really care about the flap that much. So OEM/TU1 fuel pump, that's what I've got. Sport cooling mode for intercooler. And then for coolant target, I always go to track, so that the car achieves the coolest possible running temperature that it can, even though I'm not on the track, as it will help it run cooler because I have higher power levels. So we're going to do the TCU limiter deletes. It's not required, but I do this as part of XHP as well, so we're going to do that. And then if we just go back here, so this one's going to be a long right just because I changed a couple of settings, so we're going to let it long right and then come back. All right, so the tune's getting ready to finish up here. We're at 95% right now. It's going through section 3, so I should finish up in a second here. So once it flashes the ECU, then it's going to code the ECU. So again, my car's got a downpipe, the TU pump that I bought secondhand, and then I've got an exhaust cutout, coilovers, and then brakes coming soon, and then also running E40 ethanol. So if you're looking to do a tune like this, it really doesn't cost much. Altogether with the downpipe, the pump, the software, the maps, it's probably $800 altogether. Maybe $800 to $1,000 altogether. So for just that price, you can have 50% more power out of your B58. So it's done coding. Let's exit out of this and jump over to XHP. All right, so now we're gonna tune the transmission again, because when you flash MHD, it usually erases the XHP tune. So we're here. You can log in a couple of different ways here. I like to use my Google accounts just so I don't have to have a bunch of different passwords. I've only got this car in here. So let's go to connect, eat speed. All right, in order to flash off-the-shelf maps, we need to download some files. Do you want to download now? So let me do this real quick. So basically it's just downloading the off-the-shelf map bundle. So this will just take a sec. I've never used it on this iPad, so if you ever change your device and then re-log into MHD or XHP, it's going to have to download some files again. So that should be done. So let's go down. So this is just your options list for your car. Pretty cool. All right, so let's go into the flash menu here. We're gonna go to settings first and check that out, see what's in there. So you got drag race mode, torque reduction upshifts. I've got custom launch control, shifts map editor. Let's see what this looks like. So my launch control is set at 5% torque scaling after launch. The launch torque is maxed out at 40%. So these are things that you can do. So then let's check out the shift map editor. So let's go into D mode. So basically you can set an overall, so these are basically pre-written parameters for the transmission. You can make it more neutral feeling, more relaxed feeling, or more sportive feeling. Mine are both coded to Sportive Plus, or Sportive. That's going to be Sportive Plus now on D mode, because that's actually a new update. That wasn't like that before. And then my S mode is on Sportive Plus. So these are the sportiest off-the-shelf maps that they have for the shift maps. So we're not going to use the takeoff in second gear. I like the throttle blips. That gives you some nice crispy downshifts. I've got the gear display that displays in the tachometer area. Torque limits per gear, that is fully off. So this is basically if you're running too much torque and you need to limit how much torque you're making so that you can not spin your wheels. Kick down delete, I'll be honest, I didn't notice a difference when I turned this one on and off, so I'm just going to turn it back on, because the thing that it does do is make your launch control not work when you have it off. So I would turn my kick down back on just now. And I honestly didn't notice a difference. Like, the car still would kick down, so I'm not sure how that works. Switch off sport mode and cruise, no. Auto start stop, I'm going to keep that. Soft shift in sport mode, activate line pressure bump. Valet mode, stop and go. So valet mode is basically limiting your vehicle's power within a certain RPM range. Locks down the transmission so that nobody can steal your car or go crazy with it. So stop go is basically makes the transmission stay in second gear at a standstill. So when you're going stop and go, sometimes the transmission will just stay in second gear in comfort mode, so that you don't get that lurchy feeling that you can get when you downshift to first gear too late, I guess you could say. So this is all here, the flash settings. So we're just going to reflash the car with this. So we're going to do the stage 3 with our custom settings. And then it's going to ask, do you really want to apply custom settings? Yes. The latest version. So it's just going to check some things. All right, so I'm doing the flash now. So it's just going to do a few things. So it should take about 2 minutes. So it just says make sure your seatbelt's fastened, doors closed, and you're in diagnostic mode. So that's the car beeping at me right now. Don't worry about the drivetrain malfunction, that'll go away. So this is usually pretty quick. So I'm just going to clear the fault codes out. So the flash was successful. So let's go to the summary and it'll just show you what you just did. So 45 seconds of flashing, not bad at all. So you can just read the description here. It tells you a couple different things about the map you just coded in. So the fastest setting that you can put the B58 in the G30 is Sport Plus mode with DSC off. This is a pure race mode. I think the G series vehicles are unique in that you can actually activate Sport Plus with DSC off, because in I think F series, when you turn DSC off, it automatically takes you back to to sport mode, to just regular sport mode. Okay, so let's check out just basically the front page of BootMod3. So this is what it looks like. So my vehicle is not registered in this account. You know, I've never bought this, but it still reads your VIN, and you can click to activate. I'm not sure what happens when you click that. Connected software details, unlock supported. You can go ahead and flash your tune. So I don't think this car has a lock DME. I mean, I just tuned it when I got it. I didn't unlock anything. So let's press click to activate and see what happens. Okay, so you need an activation key. So yeah, so this is the front page of BootMod3. So you know, it's a pretty good app. The only downside I would see to it is that you need the agent if you want to do any map tuning, just because you know, a phone can't really accomplish that task, so you need something with more processing power. MHD versus BootMod3. What do I really think about them, and why did I choose MHD? So basically, MHD, in my opinion, is a more aggressive tune from the dynos that I've seen online, from testimonials, people's opinions. I've heard and seen with my own eyes that MHD is more aggressive. It tends to make more power, it tends to run safer. Why is this? I don't know. It doesn't say anything about the quality of BootMod3. I think it's just the nature of off-the-shelf tunes trying to be adapted to a wide range of vehicles. You know, the only real downside I see to BootMod3 is that you need the agent if you want to do map tuning. You don't need it if you're just doing off-the-shelf tunes, you know, similar to MHD's app. But if you're doing any map tuning, you need the agent. You could say that's an upside and a downside. It's an upside because you have that ability, but it's a downside because you need an extra device to get it done. But then again, you probably don't want to be doing map tuning on a phone, on an iPhone. All kinds of things could happen and go wrong, so that would be a nightmare. As far as MHD, I've used it for about 8 months now. It's worked great. Haven't had any hiccups. They send out frequent updates. They're very communicative. I had one issue when I initially coded it where it erased my CBS data, basically for the car to tell you when it needs service. And I emailed them and they had it fixed within 24 to 48 hours. So that was really cool, and that was free. As far as XHP has been great as well. I think that really transformed the car more than MHD, just because, like, if you have a stock transmission and a bigger than stock power, it's not a bad mix, but it's not a great mix. You can feel that the transmission is a little slow behind the engine when you have it tuned without the engine tuned without tuning the transmission. So XHP really transformed the car. To me, it's a must when you're doing all this. Like, after having done it, I wouldn't ever go back to a non-tuned transmission. It feels smoother, it feels more crisp, and the line pressure bump does make a difference when you're making power on ethanol on E40. You can feel the transmission holding tighter, and there's less instances where you feel like you just feel like it's not giving you everything that it has. So that's a really great positive to XHP's tune. You know, I think there's a couple of different other flashers out there, like MG and Mission Performance and some other places, but those are less off the shelf and more well, MG flasher is off the shelf, but it's a little more complicated to use. The app is not as friendly, in my opinion. They do have a flame tune option, which is pretty cool. So yeah, and then yeah, so the biggest differences with MHD and BM3 is first of all, the live logging that you can do on BootMod3, and you can also see live sensor information. On MHD, you can't do that. BootMod3, you can also do map tuning, which I mentioned a second ago. MHD doesn't have that ability. You just need to go a custom tune route if you want something more than MHD. A couple of the upsides to MHD are the fact that a lot of people say it's more aggressive than BootMod3. This is gonna be vary from vehicle to vehicle and owner to owner, but I've only read good things about MHD, whereas BootMod3, I read a couple of stories here and there where people had issues, or a motor had an issue, or the tune was not that consistent. So things can happen and things can go wrong, but I'm not saying they're a bad company. They're not. They're a great company. It's just my preferences and where my mind was at the time. I ended up going with MHD, and I've been happy with it. So, you know, I'm not gonna say the cliche, like, you know, get whatever makes you happy and you know, that thing, but I would say go with the company that makes you feel the most comfortable. Just because when I looked at BootMod3's interface and everything, their whole package that they have, like, there was too many different screens and transitions, and it was hard to look at for me. I found MHD's platform easier to look at and stomach, so that was another big reason I went with them. So yeah, you know, I would say go with the company that makes you most comfortable. They're not all these companies are not exactly the same. You will be happy if you go with BootMod3 or MHD, but they do bring different feelings and they have different outcomes, and I think generally people have more success with MHD. So yeah, that's my opinion on MHD versus BootMod3. I went with MHD for those reasons. Others might go with BootMod3. You know, if that's what you like, that's what you like. And yeah, you know, when you're tuning your car, it's about doing what you like. You know, a lot of people get mad about what other people do, like tunes or modifications, or this looks tacky or this or that. It doesn't matter. You know, we're all car enthusiasts, and you know, we're all here to just enjoy our cars, you know.